In this video, we're going to talk about how to take data that's sitting on a spreadsheet and import it into a timesheet. So imagine you have a spreadsheet that kind of looks like this. You got some employee names, dates, hours, minutes, memo, customer job, class, location. You already happen to have it on a spreadsheet. Maybe you export it from some timekeeping system, or maybe you're keeping track of it in some other way, and a timesheet in a spreadsheet is what you have already, and you don't want to sit there and type every single thing into QuickBooks directly. So I'm going to show you how to do the import from the spreadsheet into the timesheet. Now, we're going to use a tool called Spreadsheet Sync. This tool is only available in the advanced version of QuickBooks Online. If you don't know what version of QuickBooks Online you have, click on the gear menu, then go down to subscriptions and billing, and then you'll be able to know based on what it says right under it what version you have. So you might be on Simple Start, on Essentials, or Plus, or Advanced. You can only be Advanced, which is the most expensive version of QuickBooks, in order to use this tool. Now, if you don't have QuickBooks Online Advanced and you don't want to upgrade to Advanced, you can use some third-party tools like Transaction Pro Importer or Right Tool Pro to import it in lower versions of QuickBooks Online without having to upgrade. I'll put links in the description to those two apps. Anyway, assuming you do have QuickBooks Online Advanced, let's go through the import process. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to click on that gear menu, and then we're going to click on where it says Spreadsheet Sync. This is going to launch the page that kind of walks you through, hey, make sure that you install Spreadsheet Sync first. I have another video that I'll put in the description where I'll walk through the installation process. But once you have it all set up, you're going to do the import right from Spreadsheet Sync. So after Spreadsheet Sync opens in your Excel, because that's where it runs inside Excel, you're going to click here where it says Create and Edit Records. So I'll click on Create and Edit Records. I'll select the company file. If I have more than one company file, I want to make sure that I am on the correct company file. And then where it says Select Record Template, we're going to pick Time Activities. And then we're going to click on that. And then you have the option to add the records or edit the records. So we're going to click on Add Records, click on Get Template. Okay, and then you have a template on the screen. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit so we can see a little bit better. And for the purposes of the video, we're going to zoom in. So we have a couple of columns here. We have Post, which is a really important one. We have the date of the time entry. We have Name, which is basically the name of the employee or vendor if you're doing a vendor timesheet. Then we have here, you have to select whether or not they're a vendor. Sorry, this one is you select whether or not they're an employee or vendor. And then under employee vendor name, you pick the actual name of the vendor. And you can use the drop-down menu options, but in our case, we're actually going to do a copy and paste. Then we have hours, minutes, whether it's billable, billable rate, cost rate, the customer job, location, and class. And lastly, description. So you actually cannot change this order. This is exactly how it comes in. So I'm going to bring in my spreadsheet, right? This is where I had the original information. And then I'm going to make sure that my spreadsheet uses the exact same order so I can copy and paste with ease. So for example, date needs to be the very first one. So we'll move this one to be the first column. Then the second one, just bring this down a little bit. The second one needs to be whether or not it's an employee or vendor. So in this case, I'll just insert a line here, and then we'll do name off, and then I'll just type the word employee, and then I just copy and paste that down because let's say they're all employees. But you could bring a timesheet for a vendor. Not really that useful because you can't run payroll for a vendor, but you could. And the next one is hours and minutes, so we'll delete that. So we're basically keeping the same exact sequence. Then the next one's going to be billable. So that billable right now in my current spreadsheet is all the way over here. So I'm going to make this fit. And again, I'm making my spreadsheet here at the bottom match the template that Spreadsheet Sync requires me to use so I can copy and paste. Okay. Then after billable, then we have the billing rate, which is going to be this thing here called rates. This is what we want to charge the customer if we are going to make it billable. Then the next one is cost rate, which we don't have anything for. So I'll just insert a column here and then we'll write cost rate, and then we'll leave this blank. Then the next one is location, class, and then description. So we're going to insert a couple of columns here, And then I'm gonna cut location, bring that here, boom, and then we'll do class, bring that here, boom, and then description, which is in this case memo or description. And then where's my customer job? Okay, so I missed that. So customer job is between cost rate and location. So I have to make sure to insert that here, bring my customer job, cut that, and looks like this item here, core product and service, that doesn't seem that's something that can be imported. So we'll get rid of that completely because we can't do anything with that. So here we go. We got finally a spreadsheet with my original data. This is the data that I had originally typed into Excel or exported from a timesheet system or whatever. And now it is in a format that we can import. I'm gonna add one more thing here. I'm gonna add one that's for post. So this will say post, and then this will just say yes. Okay, that's really all it needs to do. It just needs to be a yes throughout. I'll explain that in a second. So now that I have this data set up and I'll get all the formatting the way it's supposed to, I can just copy and paste information into Spreadsheet Sync. Now, one thing I'll tell you is this specific sheet that I have here, I'm actually going to save it and I'm going to call it Spreadsheet Sync Time Sheet Template. So if you email me, and my email is in the bottom somewhere, if you email me, I'll send you this Excel file that contains the template in case you want to see exactly how it needs to look like prior to doing the import. It will save you tons of time. So that will help you especially prepare the file prior. So again, I'll give you this, this template. So let's select the data now. And I'm just going to copy. Okay. Then I'm going to come into Spreadsheet Sync. Start from this cell and just paste. Boom. So I got date, I got employee, I got the employee name, I got hours, minutes, I have billable, billing rate, cost rate. We have empty because we didn't have that information. We have our customer project information, class, location, description. It looks like we're all set. Okay, now to also further kind of prove this concept, I'm gonna go ahead and close the old spreadsheet, the template. I don't need that anymore. And we'll just focus on Spreadsheet Sync. I'm gonna go back into QuickBooks here. I'm gonna go into the timesheet. And then this is the timesheet for Deborah Wood for 4/6 to 4/12. And we got all sorts of data there. So I'm gonna go ahead and delete what I have here. Okay, we hit save. That way it's blank. I'm gonna get out of the weekly timesheet, go back to it. I just wanna make sure that we're working with blank data. So when we import it, you kind of see exactly what's going on. See, completely blank, no data, right? No data, zero, nothing for this week for Deborah Wood. So we'll keep that in there. So we'll go back into Spreadsheet Sync here. And after I put post, that's a very important thing. I have to put post yes, because if I put post no, that particular line item doesn't come in. So you have to do post yes. It's part of the process. And then once you do that, there's a little button here that says sync to QuickBooks. So I'll click on sync to QuickBooks. And if there's any errors, it'll pop up and tell you, hey, this is the error. So for example, it says date not valid. So maybe something with the date that's not valid. Let's see if I try to change the date formatting, change it to date, see if it does anything. Okay, maybe I will go back into my template one more time and just make sure that I have a dating format. So I'm going to change this into short date. Okay, see now it seems like that was the issue. So something quirky with the dates, and this is welcome to dealing with Excel stuff, right? That's just, we do this stuff. We have this issue all the time. There are formulas to sort of automate cleaning this, but just for the sake of working a little faster, I'll just retype that in there. So just make sure that when you do have that data, that it is recognized as a date. So right now, even though it looks like a date, it's not recognized as a date. So I'm just gonna finish here, cleaning this up. Okay, so I'm gonna save my template again. So if you ask me for the template via email, you will have the template with the correct formatting. I'm hoping that this will work now. Let me paste that in there now. Okay, that looks, even though it looks quirky, the other one looked better. It might recognize it now. So let's do a sync again. Click sync. Kind of glad that something wrong happened. That way you kind of don't always see best case scenario. It always looks pretty when you import this type of stuff happens, right? So you can click on view sync details and you can see everything that was synced. You can click on each of these, which is really cool, and go straight directly into the time entry. So you can see the individual time entry of each particular day. But I'm gonna go back here to timesheet and click refresh. And then I should now see all the data that came in from the spreadsheet. There we go, see? So all the data came in from the spreadsheet in here. So we have custom work, services, all the information has been loaded in here from the import. I can change to a different employee. Let's look at Deborah Wood, see what her week looks like. And then we have her week, which is a lot different than the other employee. So anything that I bring in from the spreadsheet will come in here. Whatever's missing, like for example, the pay item, that cannot be imported for some reason. And the particular service item, that cannot be imported. So it just defaults to the service item. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you save tons of time using Spreadsheet Sync to import your timesheets. And again, if you don't have QuickBooks Online Advanced, I'll put in the link below, links to maybe other videos I've done on how to do it with a third-party app like Transaction Pro Importer or like Right Tool Pro. See you in the next one.